Hi, this is Guy Hebert, former NHL goaltender, and yes, I am the mask in the mask and the mic.
Yes, and I'm Kent French, and I am the mic in the mask and the mic, and we have another great show planned for you here, and we kick things off on the links, Gibo, in one of your favorite weekends of the year.
Yeah, without a doubt. We start with the Masters talk, and then we move on to Ducks hockey. I mean, two of my favorite things, right?
Yes, and the Ducks making the postseason, snapping a 7-year drought, and we talk about Steve Carroll, who was hung up after 27 years as a radio play-by-play voice of the Anaheim Ducks. That and much more all happens right now on the Mask and the Mic. We hope you enjoy the show. And Gibo?
As always, good for us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Mask and the Mic. And as you can imagine, it's Kent and Guy back with you for another session, if you will.
Scintillating conversation.
Absolutely. And by the way, technology is fun. It's
yes.
just,
hey, can you even hear me?
I don't know. I feel like we're doing a promo at the very beginning when we're trying to set this damn thing up, and now trying to reconnect. This is episode 11, Gibo, and we're still having trouble with technology. So
I don't know. I have every light on in my house right now, and hey, this is actually kind of fun. Like, I need to figure out how to put the ring light, get rid of this thing here, and I'll hold it for the whole show.
I think it'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all about ratings.
Yeah.
We're all about clickability. And if you show up with a ring light around your head, that can only help our program.
Hey, I could set a new standard there.
We can set a new standard. Well, let's kick things off by shout a big thank you to
not yet.
No, not Masters yet. I know that's where you want to go.
Pump
I know
the brakes.
You had a hat on too, and we couldn't see your smiling face because of the ring light. There it is. The Masters hat, the Masters jacket. Yes, of course we'll talk Masters, but a quick shout out to our friends at the JW Marriott in Anaheim over by Disneyland, because I roll in with a rollerboard on a Saturday morning because you and I are going to talk to Chris Pronger to chat about his brand new book called Earned, which, by the way, hits bookshelves on
the 14th.
April 14th. Make sure I get that right. Brungs, big shout out to you for joining us. So he's staying at the hotel. We roll in. I did not tell anyone what we were doing. I'm like, no problem. We'll find a little nook or something and be able to record this and throw up a couple cameras. Well, unbeknownst to all of us, there's 2 weddings going on. Why wouldn't there be on a Saturday at that hotel by Disneyland? So,
just a couple patrons headed to Disneyland itself.
It was packed. It was packed. So I got there and
the Magic Kingdom.
I started talking to people, and they were incredibly nice, incredibly accommodating, and they found a private room for you and I to set up and Chris Pronger to join us. So just a quick shout out to a little behind the scenes for all of you at home on how that one came together, because sometimes you got to go find your guest, Guy, and we had to go find Chris Pronger because he's a popular guy, and he was on, after that interview,
he was on
everything.
Yeah.
He was on KTLA, the Rich Eisen show. He was on every hockey and non-hockey podcast you can imagine, and he was certainly doing the PR tour to pump his book, so good for him.
Yeah, well, good for him, and it got us out of the house for our first road trip. Now, mind you, it was only the Anaheim, but it was our taking the Mask and the Mic on the road.
Yes, we did take it on the road
to Anaheim. Hey, if you want us to come to your location, let us know. We have a van. We've got staff. We will bring the show to you.
Yeah, we will, and I'll roll in with a rollerboard with all the extension cords and camera equipment and try to set the damn thing up. So anyways, kick things off by thanking the JW Marriott and thanking Chris Pronger for making some time for us, and because we were first time ever I've been part of a media junket, and
we didn't know that's where it was going, but
I felt important.
Apparently,
I felt important that we were given time to be part of that junket.
Listen, I'm just thinking about royalties, like, because we are putting him on the map, Chris Pronger. And I'm sure you're tuning into this episode.
I'm sure he is. So. Yeah, I'm sure he's got
something for the boys.
He's got the alert on his phone the next time the Mask and the Mic pops up. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
All
right.
right.
Do not disturb.
We move on now to a topic where you would just jonesing to get to, and rightfully so,
yes.
Gibo, because we all know that you're a huge fan of the game of golf. Get out there to the links.
Yes, I am.
Once in a great while. So what took place this past weekend, Guy? What was there some tournament that was going on that was, high profile? What was it?
We like to call it a little slice of heaven. and it's called the Masters Tournament. It's actually my favorite golf tournament. Obviously, one of the 4 majors, but it's the one I look forward to the most. And I think mostly because it's played at Augusta, right? Augusta National Golf Club, and it's the same venue every single year. So players, I think, as they learn the history of the game there on that course, the nuances on that course, I think it's always fun to see that same challenge at the same course where the other majors move around from season to season. So, and I just think that this spectacle that Augusta National is and the Masters, it's so incredible. I've had the chance to go there, never play, so it's an opportunity for anyone to invite me to play. But to be able to go to the Masters, walk through the entire course, I always call it the adult Disneyland for golfers. I mean, everything is so manicured. You walk in and it's just pristine. I mean, there's not a blade of grass out of place. There's not a flower out of place. Oh, by the way, like the food is 1950s pricing. So if you go and get
Is it
any
really? I
food,
had no
it is.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. It's incredible. I mean, um, the azaleas, which is the most famous drink, you get that in the member area. So you have to have a member badge to get in there. But yeah, it's an incredibly well organized. I mean, it's probably the best run tournament maybe ever. And everybody who's there is just raved about, the settings, the politeness of the patrons towards one another. There was a guy shouting out something about "Give me back my son" after Rory McIlroy hit a tee shot, I think on the Saturday round. And I'm pretty sure that he was escorted off the property fairly quickly, and whoever got him that ticket probably no longer has access to the tickets because it's all about the decorum. It's about, you know, being that kind of fan isn't tolerated. And I think the players certainly appreciate it. I know that the other fans appreciate it as well. What a setting. What a 4 days. I sat on my couch as much as possible. Got to sit on my couch, watch Rory McIlroy go back to back. I mean, people were talking a year ago, would he ever complete the Grand Slam, Kent French? And he did it last year
Took
in
him over a decade.
stunning
Took him over
fashion.
a decade to get there last
Yeah,
year.
I mean,
yes, and then what the hell? It goes back to back.
And he was in overtime last year, Frenchie. He had to go into OT extra hole and beat Justin Rose last year. And this year it was shaping up. Scotty Scheffler comes out of nowhere Saturday -7, rolls in Sunday. He's in with really one putt on 17 that could have dropped for him to get to 12 under, would have forced a playoff. But Rory with the 2-shot lead. And if you didn't watch it, comes up 2-shot lead. Unbelievable. He played great. Like he had some disaster holes and shots, but so did everybody else. But it's about rebounding and keeping your composure. And he hits probably one of his worst tee shots, which he had a lot of them during the course of the 4 days. On 18, Frenchie peels it, slices it into the trees, got a fortunate break, but then hits an amazing recovery shot and then has a chance to get up and down, or up, down, and down because he had a 2-stroke lead. Plays the hole very nicely from there. Great bunker shot, and then puts it to just a couple inches for the tap in for the win. But incredible for him to get that kind of monkey off his back. He completed the Grand Slam and won Augusta, the Masters. And I think that it just freed him up. Quite honestly, I think he was like, hey, I've already got a green jacket in my closet. I think I can go out there and do it again. And so to do it back to back is historic there. And then where does Rory McIlroy go from here? Talk about number 1 and 2 in the world, maybe going head to head, him and Scheffler. That's going to be for the next 3 majors, certainly the topic of conversation.
Yeah, it was, and just reading about the history that was made. I mean, McIlroy led or co-led every round, first golfer to do that in like 40 years. And as you mentioned, went back to back, 4th golfer to ever go back to back at the Masters. Last time it was a guy named Tiger Woods back in, I think it was 01, 02. So, I mean, it was incredible what he was able to do. But the fact, and something I read too, which is really cool, and it shows you what these athletes kind of put themselves through is he wears a bracelet that monitors his heart rate. I don't know if you read this, but it was
Whoop,
high.
whoop, whoop.
Whoop. Yes,
It's
that's
whoop.
what it was.
Yeah.
He hit his driver in 18. His heart rate was high, and then it starts to come down. Every shot after that, his heart rate dropped. Just the mental fortitude of these golfers, because as you know, you go out there and you've been playing these pro-ams. I mean, there's people everywhere. I mean, granted, the pressure, Gibo, isn't like it is on the 18th tee of the Masters to win the damn tournament for the second straight year, but I can't imagine what's going on up above the neck in these guys. It's remarkable, the mental strength, the calmness. We always talk about the sports psychologist and these guys going through that to get their heart rate down. But I'm just impressed by the way, like, a McIlroy hits it in the weeds and is able to rebound and come away with just bogey to win the tournament. I mean, that's impressive.
Well, and knowing what you need to do to get it done, right? I'm sure he was standing on that tee box thinking, okay, all I need to do is hit the fairway. And I think he tried not to overswing on that, and then was like, okay, I couldn't have hit it almost any worse. And okay, how do I recover? But that is, I mean, that's the mark of a champion. And when you don't get rattled, and then you just, all you can do is you got to move on. Like, you can't do anything about that shot. It's kind of like in hockey. If you're goalie, you give up a goal, you're like, okay, I can't do anything about that goal. All I can do is make sure I stop all the next shots that come my way. And I think that's what he did. He just went there, said, okay, let me take a deep breath. I have to make sure that this next shot is a quality shot, that I put it in a place that then I can make sure I can make my bogey. And it certainly was, it was disappointing. I know there's been a lot of talk about the coverage by CBS, and no one knew where his ball went. And they're like, there's a million cameras out in this golf course. And they're like, because I was yelling at the TV, I'm like, did he go long? Is it short? Did it
Yeah,
hit
I heard
that
they just
huge
went to
set
a
of
wide
trees?
shot. They couldn't
Yeah.
they couldn't find the ball. They just went to a giant wide shot because they didn't know where it went. Yeah, I've read
And
some
even
of that
like
too.
the commentators are like, oh, he hit the ball, and essentially we don't know where it is. So it added to the drama, of course. But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, yeah, just the sheer fortitude, mental fortitude of athletes, great athletes that separate, right? I mean, one shot wins the tournament, right? I mean, if somehow he double bogeys that, if he doesn't hit such a great bunker shot within whatever it was, 10 or 12 feet, all of a sudden, if it's up on the top ridge, he's looking at, a double bogey. So I'm sure Scotty Scheffler was in the room waiting, just licking his chops, saying, just give me a chance to get back out there and play a playoff hole against Rory. But I mean, well-deserved, well-earned. I think he's an incredible ambassador for the sport of golf. And I think that just now kind of puts him, in the conversation of, okay, you start talking about the greatest of the greats. I'm not going to say GOAT, that's obviously, Jack and Tiger, but he starts to move that needle a little bit toward how good is he going to be at the end of his career? And does this just free him up for all the other majors where he goes in there and he just, not that he wasn't confident, but to be able to do this, all of a sudden in your back pocket, you're like, oh, a 6-time major winner, back-to-back Masters winner. Like, all of a sudden you start looking at US Open and, the Open Championship and the PGA. So if you're a golf fan like I am, I just think that everybody's going to look at Rory as maybe the guy, and that's going to put a fire under Scotty Scheffler. So we might see the best golf out of those two players coming up soon.
Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of the next generation of the 1 and 2, because it was Mickelson and Tiger for a long, long time, and then now you got these two guys going head to head. And what's interesting about Scheffler too is you don't want him. I don't know if you rather chase him or want him behind you, because Scheffler doesn't make mistakes. He went bogey free, didn't he, in the final round? I mean, he's
final 2 rounds.
Final 2 rounds, he went bogey free.
First ever at the Masters, bogey free in the final 2 rounds.
He is a guy that will just be there consistently, and it's almost like his consistency will create anxiety for whoever's around him, especially in front of him, because you can't make mistakes when Scotty Scheffler is in the hunt, which is pretty much every single tournament. So yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. Another thing I want to ask you about, since you watched the tournament, and I, as you probably can tell, I did not. Sergio Garcia Did he snap his driver? Like, what the hell was that all about?
Yeah. Well, hey, he's a passionate guy, and
that's something you see on a Muni course, on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, not at the Masters.
No, and being a Masters champion, there's obviously this is all about, respect to the club. And I saw his statement today. I watched the interview post round where, getting athletes in those moments, he chose his words very carefully. But I saw it. I mean, I was watching on the Masters app. And so I watched that situation unfold live. And, obviously he's been struggling with his game, and, we all get upset and angry or whatever, but, thinking about, he wasn't in contention. So I'm going to say, did it really matter if he was playing poorly? I mean, really, no, because he wasn't going to win the tournament. But yes, I mean, I watched him hit a ball, and he, smashed the club, and then he smashed the tee marker, and then he smashed it on the cooler, and then the driver head fell off. And anybody who knows, even the minor rules of golf knows that if you break a club in any fashion other than striking the ball, you can't replace that club. So he had to play with 3-wood the rest of the day, which, certainly affected how he was going to attack the course. But you hate to see anybody embarrass themselves, embarrass, the Masters tournament, and get national audience is watching. I mean, it's one of those things where, God, you hate to see the emotion get the best of you, and it certainly did. And he's known. I mean, we've seen this for years.
Yes,
him do this. So, Augusta, as I read, like, they invite the Masters champions back every year, but it's not a God-given right. It is an invitation because they respect the fact that you've been able to win that Masters, and so it's kind of like a lifetime exemption. But they did say that it's not carved in stone, Frenchie, where if you misbehave and you disrespect Augusta National and the Masters tournament, they don't need to invite you back. So it's going to be interesting, because I think that this is going to be a conversation between Augusta National, their membership, the tournament, whether they want to extend an invitation to Sergio Garcia in the future, and maybe they don't for next year or a short amount of time, to kind of reinforce, hey, somebody always has to be made an example of. And I think that this is, and, unfortunate for him, but I really think that it was uncalled for. I mean, I know you didn't watch the tournament, but I know it's a hot button topic. It was not long ago, and everybody seems to be talking about it. And, he does, like I said, have a track record of, he's damaged greens in tournaments. He's spit into a cup on a tournament. And you're like, that's just, when you think about, golf as a gentleman's sport, yeah, that doesn't flush with a lot of people.
But it's cool when Bo Jackson takes a bat and snaps it over his thigh, though.
Yeah.
You can't snap a driver, though.
No,
it's a little easier to do so. I guess maybe it's because it's more impressive when Bo Jackson takes a stick of lumber and breaks it like a toothpick.
But somehow that seems different, right? I mean, doesn't it? Like,
no, it is.
You see a hockey player go to the bench, and he breaks his stick as he goes to the bench. I think
it's etiquette. It's the rules of the game, the rules of the environment. You mentioned gentleman's sport. It's a different environment. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, are you okay with that? Like, I mean, just, hey, you show the emotion, it's raw, and you move on, and everybody moves on? Or are you in the camp of myself and most people that, like, this is just poor sportsmanship?
I don't know if unfortunate is the right word to use, but that's what people want to see. People want to see athletes not be robots. They want to see personality, and they want to see relatability. And that we can relate to that anger, right? I mean, most of us golfers, us amateur golfers, can relate to the fact where you want to throw your club in the water, throw your bag in the water, snap your club, do all those things, but you find a way not to, because yes, it is etiquette, it is the rules of the game and things that you need to follow. So while there is certainly a double-edged sword here where, you know, and it drives in this world of social media that we live in. That's kind of what people want to see when it comes to that, and see someone be human. But especially in the sport of golf, I would agree with you in the fact that it is uncalled for and something needs to be done about it. You can't have that, because you are you know, also whether you like it or not, that's a whole nother conversation, is the role model thing, right? Like,
Yep.
you are a role model whether you like it or not, because you are on that platform, you are on that stage, and that is not okay. And you don't want other golfers, other young golfers coming up to say, that's what I want to do. You see him emulating athletes all the time in every sport, right? The bat flip or whatever you want it to be, another conversation you want to dive into. You can't do those things. That is not part of that sport. It needs to not happen, and there needs to be either recourse, a conversation, whatever it is. Obviously, it seems, from what you're telling me, it seems like Sergio's certainly been talked to, which of course he has. I mean,
Well, they talked to him like on the fourth hole, and he wouldn't comment on what they said, but the club made a statement about, hey, we discussed how he behaved, and
discussed.
yeah, and that he was basically put on notice. So if there was any other outbursts throughout the course of the round, that I'm pretty sure he was going to get DQ.
And he should be. I mean, that's I do feel that way. And it is that unfortunate thing though too. Like I said, like, people want to see the emotion and relatability, but that there is a line. You can't do stuff like that. So yeah, I agree. There needs to be something.
So
can't do it.
So let's talk about another incident that happened at Augusta. Robert McIntyre I believe he got a 9 or a 10 on, I think, the 13th hole, the par 5 with water, and ended up being just a tragic hole for him or whatever. But at one point, he was caught on the hot mic with a couple choice words, and then he was also caught on camera flipping the bird to the hole, to the green.
So as someone following the tournament, these are things that I see. I see the broken driver from Sergio, and I see McIntyre flipping the bird. Those are things that show up like over and over and over again. Yeah.
And this is without, there are no cell phones at Augusta, right? You cannot bring your own. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So
that's cool.
I mean, this is being pumped out by the actual media that's there, and the television broadcast or whatever. But so then you start saying, okay, they're both bad. Which is worse? Is one actually worse than the other? I think, in my opinion, and we won't have to belabor the point because we got a lot of great stuff to talk about. But Sergio Garcia as a champion in Augusta National Masters champion, doing what he did, I think he's a representative of the tournament more than Robert McIntyre, who has never won. And I know they both represent, pro golf and all that. But yeah, I just say it's obviously a frustrating sport. But I just thought, there were some things that I think Augusta is going to go back and take a look at, as well as some other things. I think there was some kind of like Frisbee thing with some social media people earlier in the week during the practice rounds. There was some kind of whatever, and I think they're readjusting some of their thoughts on how they want to promote the Masters tournament going forward.
Well, let me say this: emotion is we like emotion. We like emotion in all sports. And when Tiger came on the scene, we loved emotion. I mean, Tiger was another one. He walked the line when it comes to, a bad shot, slamming his club down, whatever it may be. Granted, I don't think I ever saw him snap a club, but you love the emotion. You love the emotion when he was playing well. You love the emotion when he wasn't. You wanted to see all eyes were on Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I mean, you love the celebration, right? I mean, that's
he walked the line in a good way. You can't go these other two that you referenced have gone they've crossed the line, in my opinion, especially in the game of golf. You can't do that. So I agree with you. But you know what?
After a very long-winded, yes, and I agree with you.
and I agree with you.
And I agree.
Well, it was certainly and just a shout out, I had to go on the leaderboard.
Yes.
I can't see our friend, but Jake nap time was 5 strokes off the lead.
Yeah, we can say our friend.
He finished 11th overall. I mean, good for Jake Knapp. That's awesome. I cannot wait, and we are going to effort Jig Knapp
Yes.
over and over again to get him on this program.
Yeah.
He did sit with us on our pregame show back in the day.
Yep.
But hey, we say good for us, good for Jig Knapp, man. He showed up, he played well. That guy's name is going to be mentioned for a long time to come when it comes to the leaderboard in some big tournaments.
No doubt about it. He's played so well this season. He's been in the top 10 multiple times. And at the Masters, if you finish 12th or better, you get the auto invite back to the next Masters tournament.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I did not
So
know that.
but
Oh, that's
that's a big
awesome.
so that's a
That is
big, big
awesome.
deal. So, there's other ways to get to the Masters, obviously through points and winning tournaments to qualify. But if you're tied 12th and better, then you get to come back. So I'm sure that's one of the bucket list things that you want to do is secure that spot. Jake, you could see him rocking. He has a little sponsorship deal with the Anaheim Ducks that he's had for years. And he loves hockey. Obviously, he loves the Ducks. And so you can always see somewhere, usually on the collar of his shirt, he's got the Ducks logo. And I think it was on his bag this year, his Masters specialized bag. So he's repping OC well for us.
All right. Well, congrats to him. What a finish. Yeah, that's all. I did not know that. He will be in the Masters next year. Fantastic news. All right, we transitioned, Gibo, and I think you did it on purpose because that's kind of how you do things, is went from somehow you worked in Ducks and Masters in the same sentence, and now we are rolling into Ducks. We will comment that they are now in the postseason thanks to Nashville losing. Ducks have backed their way into the postseason. I don't really care how they get there as long as they got there. So that is
we don't care.
Good news and good for them. But before we mention that and dive into that a little bit more, I do want to talk about a good friend of both of ours. And you and I ran into a game for only the second time this year because I've only been to 2 games. And that was April 12th. Fan Appreciation Night at Honda Center. Ducks taking on the Vancouver Canucks. All they had to do that night is win, and they would be in. But it was a very special night. I like to call it Steve Carroll Appreciation Night because our friend Steve Carroll is hanging up the microphone after 27 years as the play-by-play radio voice of the Anaheim Ducks, 50 years overall in broadcasting. On the ice ceremony with his wife Rhonda, Aaron Tietz, a friend of ours, a president of the Anaheim Ducks, was down there. Gave him a golden microphone. He got a painting. The whole works. Then he gets up to the booth and he's got to call a game through all the emotion. He was down there showing a lot of emotion, rightfully so. Fans, players, everybody on their feet. He goes up to the booth and Brent Severin is there, his longtime former broadcast partner who now does the pre and post game for the Dallas Stars. He flies in, surprises him, was sitting in the seat and helped call the first period with him and Emmer. So what a night. We got to go to a post reception with him and his wife and some friends, family, and I can't say enough about Steve Carroll, another guest that we're going to have on. We chatted with him, and I know you would put it in his ear to get on here, and we'll certainly hear from him once the emotion dies down a little bit. But we can truly call him a friend, incredibly respected across the industry. He's a one-of-a-kind. His call will be synonymous forever with the 2007 Stanley Cup. I will miss him personally, listening to his calls, but he is still going to be around the team in a hosting capacity. So, Gibo, just a very special night. It was cool that we could both be part of it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Steve Carroll is the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, like you mentioned, the call of the Stanley Cup championship. He was there when I was still playing, so he's obviously endured some great times. He's also got us through some tough seasons. And I think that, his voice has calmed the nerves of many Ducks fans over the decades. So, as you mentioned, too, being kind of a mentor, going from myself being a player and trying to find my way and navigate it in a broadcast world, much like yourself and Hazy and Johnny. I mean, Steve was a great resource for me to be able to ask questions, get comfortable with. I actually sat in the booth with him, and a lot of people don't remember, but during the Stanley Cup Finals that we did not win in 2004, I was up in the booth with Steve, or 2003. I was up there with Steve because he had no analyst, no color analyst, and he was doing the games all by himself.
That's crazy.
Which
That's
is
absolutely
insane,
crazy.
right? So I had a chance to do that with him throughout the course of the season. I would go up for a period here or there, and then as the playoffs started, I had more time and spent doing the entire game with him. So it was incredible because we got to do some amazing games, especially in the Cup Finals against New Jersey Devils, and of course, the big hit with Scott Stevens, Paul Kariya. We were live on the air doing that, and he handled that with such class and grace. And just an amazing guy. He started in the minors, like I always say, like a lot of athletes, we start in the minors, try to learn our craft, try to get better. He did all those same things in his craft. And I think he never lost sight of that. I think when you're in the minors, you never lose sight of where you come from. And I think he took that throughout his entire NHL career. So special night. Loved seeing his wife, Rhonda, all the support he got. And he was shedding tears. he's like, I'm trying not to cry anymore. So when we have Steve on here, we will not make him cry, Frenchie. We'll let him have some peace.
It's like that scene from Jerry Maguire and Roy Firestone is
Roy,
talking.
you're not going to make me
You're not going to make me cry, Roy. You're not going to make me cry. It's such a good line. And I'm glad you brought that up about the minor leagues because it's been documented now as he's been celebrated, but I don't think people really understand what that is like. I mean, as a player, you can speak to that, but as a broadcaster, he's on that same bus, and he did it for almost 30 years, 20 some odd years. He did the minor leagues. He did minor league baseball, minor league hockey. And when you're in the minor leagues in broadcasting, you are the marketing guy. You're the sales guy. You do it all. I mean,
lugging all your own equipment and probably grabbing a couple player bags just to help out,
It is a love of your craft. It is he truly loves what he does, and it comes through in his calls. And you talk about people putting in the time. I mean, my goodness. And he talks about it candidly, and we'll have him chat about it as well. But there's a time when you wonder if you're going to make it. You keep going and you're pounding, and it's one of 30 jobs, one of 32 jobs now, or what, so that's it. And once you're in that seat, like Steve Carroll has been for the last 27 years, you don't leave. It is your seat. This is your team. So, I can't say enough about him. And a lot of things we'll touch on, when we have him on, but when I was with Adelphia Cable, I started a show called This Week in Angels Baseball and Center Ice. We used to do a show at the ESPN Zone.
I remember that well.
In front of a live studio audience. And God knows, I think that was all who was watching was a studio audience, but he didn't know who I was. I invited him to be my co-host. He sat up on that stage with me and he did the shows, and he would travel to spring training with me. And it was, and we took a road trip up to Oakland when the Angels clinched one year. And, we were in, Motel 6s, and we were cruising up there in rental cars, and he did it all with me, and he supported everything I was doing early on, and I will never forget that. And I'm just so grateful that I've been just to witness part of what has been an illustrious career. So congrats to him, and it was neat to see the players too. And there's a story I was told that during picture day, the players called him over and had him sit with the team photo. And gave him and Rhonda came over and sat there, and it was pretty special and pretty cool, and it just kind of tells you, how much he meant not only the organization but the players themselves, and he had the utmost respect from those players, and that says a lot, Guy, because the media isn't always necessarily looked great upon by players all the time, but he was certainly respected and was one of their own.
Well, I think that's the thing is, Steve's on every trip, calls every single game, is on, every plane ride, every bus ride, at the practices. And so, for players, and I remember when he was doing it, when I was playing, that, you respect, because you know that, they're there to support you, right? He's there to support you. He just needs information, for the call. And, he wants to kind of bring the best out of the players when he's calling the game. And when you have that relationship with players and media, and I think Steve, countless hours of just sitting in a cold rink on practice days. I remember last year I traveled and I was in Philly, and we went to the Penn hockey rink, which Penn doesn't even have a college hockey team, but they have a hockey rink that they've had for many, many years. And Steve and I went to the off-day practice, and we had a chance just to sit and watch and talk about the game and talk about the players. And, then down in the locker room as guys were getting ready to go from the locker room back onto the bus, get back to the hotel. And it was amazing to see that the players, you know, waited for him, that if he needed something, any questions or anything about the game the next day, they were waiting for him. And I think
Wow.
that's that
Yeah.
ultimate sign of respect, that they're like, hey, Steve, you got everything that you need. And he never abused it. And I think that was the great part of that relationship that he's had with many players over many decades.
Yeah. It says a lot. You're right. So, congratulations again to him, and of course his wife Rhonda, because as you know, Gibo, and as I know, you're in this industry and you're gone a lot. It's a lot of hours, and your family is a part of it. So, for Rhonda to be part of it too was really special. And Steve also recently was given or inducted into the Southern California Sportscasters
That's
Hall of
right.
Fame.
Yeah.
So, he got that accolade as well, and certainly probably more to come. And he will be, in some shape or form, he will be enshrined at Honda Center, because again, he has been just a voice of that team and the history of that team, and that's pretty special. So, congrats to him. And again, we'll get that guy on here, and we'll dive into his career a little bit more. So, hockey and
You're going to transition now.
the Anaheim Ducks. Yeah, my transition was horrible right there. Wanted the Ducks to clinch on Fan Appreciation Night and Steve Carroll's final night, and they came back from a 2-goal deficit, I believe. I got to sit at a hockey game. I sat next to my wife with Everly was there, and Michelle looks at me and she's like, "You and I have never watched a hockey game together." And I sat up, I go, "What?" And she's like, "Yes." And, I've been with the organization, or I was with the organization for 21 years, and we've been together for, I don't know.
You better not get this one wrong.
Yeah, like 16, 17, 18 years. Think about that. I'm either working, and everybody's like, "Well, he came down and said hi." Well, yeah, I was, because we were working, or, I'd run down if she was ever at a game. But it was bizarre to sit there and watch a game. And she took a picture and says, "We need to document this, because who knows, So, but yeah, I watched this Ducks game, Gibo, and it was fun. Got off to a good start, and as they do, they had the Canucks right where they wanted them, because they fell behind, and then they came back, and I'm like, here we go again. Cutter got his 40th. Everything looked good. They tie it up. They go to overtime, and then the air out of the building on a power play by the Canucks with like 10 seconds left, I think it was, in overtime. So it didn't happen. But now they're in. Nashville lost. They are in the postseason. They can breathe a breath of fresh air. So good for the Ducks. Congratulations to them and the organization. And Gibo, you've been obviously covering the team all year long. You just got to get in, right? Just get in. Anything can happen.
Yes. It doesn't necessarily need to be pretty. I know that they desperately wanted to control their own destiny, right? They wanted to be, hey, we're going to win that last home game for the fans. I mean, the fans, as you said, being in the building, I mean, in that third period, they were chanting, we want playoffs. And so they were ready to blow the top of the Honda Center off. And when the Ducks gave up that third goal, shorthanded, went down 3-1, they were still on the power play. And my first thought is if they could get within one goal, if they could just respond right now with a power play goal before that power play expires, they're right back in it. And on cue, they score, kind of get the crowd right back into the game, and then bang, they score again. And all of a sudden it was playoff atmosphere, right? I mean, the crowd was going crazy. nobody was sitting down in their seats. I'm sure you were standing as well, but nobody was sitting in their seats, and you just felt like it was inevitable for them to get that fourth goal and win in regulation. Tough way to lose. It's always tough, and sometimes the penalties that are called in overtime. Was it really a slash on the hands? Did it take away the prime scoring opportunity? Ref said yes. I think Joel Quenneville, Coach Q, thinks maybe differently. But nonetheless, they got a very critical point, which was needed. And like I said, they kind of backed into the playoffs. But hey, there's a motto: hey, we don't care. Right. And I think if you ask any Ducks fans, they don't really care. Now it's just really a matter of, with 2 games remaining and 4 points on the line, LA is now in the playoffs as well. They've secured their spot. And so, shockingly, the Ducks could finish in a number of different spots, right? Edmonton, Vegas, LA, Utah. I mean, it's still
It's so
revolving.
tight. They could be a wild card team, or they could win the Pacific. It's nuts.
It's nuts for it to go down to the last game. So now you're thinking, maybe could they rest some players? Possibly, but where do you want to finish? And I actually said on our pregame show, be careful who you wish you want to play against. So sometimes it's better just you go and you play it out, and whoever you end up playing, then you play, right? If you try to match up against a certain team, sometimes that backfires. So I expect them to go out there, try to win these 2 games, finish as high as they can. If there's still a glimmer of home ice advantage left, I think that's an instrumental way to be successful in the playoffs, to have that extra home game, especially if it's Game 7 in your own building. So but what a great time of year. I mean, I think the players, like I said, took a deep breath. Now they can kind of focus on the fact that, like, hey, we need to put 2 solid games together, and we can work on things as we get into the playoffs. And like everybody says, you get your foot in the door, you ride a hot goaltender. I can't wait to see some of the players who have never experienced playoff hockey anywhere, especially here in Anaheim, get that opportunity. You think about Troy Terry. You think about some guys that, may have, been knocking on the door and just never gotten into the postseason. And of course, some other veteran guys who have had great success winning Stanley Cups, and that really valuable experience that they're going to bring to the locker room.
Best time of year.
Best
time of year. And no matter what sports fan you are, it's hard to argue that the NHL playoffs are not near the top or at the top when it comes to postseason environments. The series is a 7-game series. And Gibo, there is no such thing as a 5-minute overtime. There's no such thing as a shootout come postseason. You play until the final goal is scored. And it is what these athletes do from an attrition standpoint is phenomenal. Yeah, I cannot wait. I mean, 7-year drought is over. Wow.
It feels good. I mean,
it's crazy. I mean, and being, a little removed from the team, but just to be able to, I'm so happy for the people in the organization. I'm so happy for the people that cover the team and you and everybody that are around it, because I know what that feeling's like. And I know because, you put in the work. Everybody works so hard all year long. Not just the guys on the ice, but everybody supporting the team and the organization. They work so damn hard, and it's kind of it's kind of a payoff. Like, this is why we do this, at the end, to get in and see the fans and paint it orange and the towels. And I mean, it's unlike any other environment. And I am so fired up for this team, and for the fans especially. But I will say this, Gibo.
Yes. Tell me. Speak words of wisdom.
They got to win the next 2. And by the time this podcast airs, they will have played Minnesota, so they'll have Nashville left.
Yes.
You don't want to face Colorado. You don't want to drop.
Yeah.
You don't want to drop. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes. I think if there's one team you're really trying to avoid, it is Colorado. So there's a lot to play for. And, Minnesota in the game against St. Louis, they still won the game, but they did not dress really any of their top star players. No Kaprizov, no Matt Boldy, no Quinn Hughes. I mean, so when the Ducks face Minnesota, and everyone will know the outcome when this comes out, it's their finale. And so will they dress their star players for their fans in the finale? Maybe they dress them, maybe they don't play them much, maybe they see how the game goes. So the Ducks have a great opportunity to either play a team that's either not going to have its star players. They're third in the NHL in the power play, so that's a huge advantage for the Minnesota Wild. But if Hughes is out and Kaprizov and Boldy, Zuccarello, if any and all those guys are not dressed or playing limited minutes, I mean, it's a great opportunity for the Ducks to really pounce on them, get those 2 points that the Ducks need way more than Minnesota. Minnesota can't move up, down, sideways. I mean, they're locked in where they are. So, and then that finale against Nashville, I mean, Nashville's going to be playing for pride and playing for jobs, but they're going to be a team that's wounded in a bad way for them, where I think the motivation to play and to win is, yes, it's their finale, but I think the Ducks could certainly jump on them, knowing that they're going to the playoffs and Nashville is not. So I like the way it's set up. And I love the fact that if they can, kind of push that envelope to be as high a seed as possible, it's great. I mean, it's great just maybe not really even knowing as a player who you're going to match up against just yet until that final game.
But you don't want to limp in, right? The Ducks have been limping for the last week, and they can't afford. You want that momentum, and you see it in baseball a lot when it comes to series. Like some of those wild card teams, they're on a roll just to get in, and they take down a number one seed that's been sitting, right? So you want to get in, and you want to be getting in with momentum, and these last 2 games could be crucial for that. And like you said, who cares who we don't, I mean, yeah, Colorado, but you want to go in feeling good about yourselves regardless. And as we mentioned at the start of this playoff conversation, you just need to get in. Anything can happen. Dostal could be one of those guys that can win games for you. And
yes.
and that's
without a doubt.
Goalies, we're going to the goalie conversation, is goalies can make a team, make a playoff run. And we saw it with Jiggy, we saw it with you. You have those games you can steal a game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Your goalie can't be average. Sergei Bobrovsky is a great example of that in the last couple cups, right? I mean, your goalie has to be a guy who steals a game. Like it might be just one game. It could be 4 games in the whole series. It could be multiple series wins that the goalie's responsible for. And I think that's the thing that goaltenders love, that spotlight. They want to be that guy. They want to be the guy. They want to be the guy who's like, hey, the reason we're winning these games is because of our goaltender. And then the rest of the team feeds off of that, right? I mean, they feed off of these, huge saves that the goalies make throughout the course of the game. I think Dostal is primed. He's played Olympics. He's played World Championships. Like, he's got a great pedigree. So the moment isn't going to be too big for him. And you know him as well as I do. I mean, he is even keel. He's a fierce competitor, but he is really great at handling his emotions. So I don't see him getting rattled. I see him thriving in that environment. And listen, you talk about them limping into these last 10 games. And I think part of it could be is that they wanted to make the playoffs so badly that I think that maybe the pressure got a little bit to them. And then it affected their systems and their defensive scheme and their power play rate. It started to trickle into a lot of different things, I think. But now that they're in, I think that these 2 games, I think the coaches are really going to work on them, saying like, yeah, this is our time to shine. And we need to be able to create that momentum that we need, because you just, it's not a team that's good enough to be able to say, hey, we're going to flip the switch, once playoff starts.
Next time we talk, we'll be knee deep in playoff hockey. How does that sound?
Yeah. Well, it's going to, I mean, that's crazy. It's starting Saturday and Sunday. So, yeah. I mean, it's, it's right away. There is no break. So hockey fans are going to be able to dive right in.
I love it. And how about closing our podcast with a goalie conversation? That's just, things just happen the way this should, right?
Well, it was funny because probably like 2 weeks ago, Lukáš Dostal was at 29 wins, and I started going through, the records of Anaheim Ducks goaltending, and Jaguar is at the top at 36 wins, had 35 in another. I think Freddie Anderson had 35 in one season. I think Jonas Hiller, myself, John Gibson, I all had around 31. And so I was like, is Jiggy's 36? Like, that could be in jeopardy. And of course, they went on that little bit of a slide. So he's at 30 wins going into the Minnesota game. 2 games left. Does he play both games? I don't know. Maybe they rest him in that game in Nashville if there's not a reason to play him. So essentially, he could tie myself and a couple other goaltenders as he climbs up that wins record in a single season. So, and listen, I'm a guy who believes in records were made to be broken. So I'm all on board for him to continue to win and climb up that ladder because he is that good.
Well, very cool, and I cannot wait to see how he performs, how the rest of his team performs, and who they will be performing against.
Yes.
That'll all shake out in the next few days, and we will have all that on our next episode of The Mask and the Mic. And by the way, you can view this podcast on the Mask and the Mic YouTube channel. Also catch us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Gibo, as always, it's been a pleasure talking some links. I love the Masters gear. You're always addressed appropriately for whatever we talk about. I don't know how you do it, but it always just works somehow, some way. So yeah, look forward to seeing you next week and talking some playoff hockey amongst other things. And until then, Gibo,
hey, and good for us.
Good for us.